How you doing, my brother? How's it going, Lorenzo?
Yeah, I'm doing really good, man. And you?
Doing great. Glad to have you on. I saw your post actually this morning. I'll pull it up if I can get it here. It was on the branded Facebook group where you first placed this OTS. Uh, I was able to check out the list a little bit later, and I thought you had a really killer list. I wanted to invite you on and have a little fun little deck profile here. And celebrate your win. Congratulations. When was this exactly, and where was this OTS for everybody here?
Thank you, thank you. It was yesterday, yesterday in the midday, yesterday.
Awesome. How many rounds did you end up having overall?
It was 5 rounds yesterday.
Nice. And so was that 5 rounds Swiss plus top cut, or was it just like 5 rounds overall plus like 2 rounds in top cut?
No, it was 5 rounds Swiss. We didn't have a top cut match.
Okay, great. So, um, I see you're running a 50 card list here. Before we get into that, though, do you have any shoutouts or anything that you wanted to say before we got into the deck profile?
First of all, hello everybody. I'm honored to be on the channel, and I follow you for a while, and I'm really glad that I'm finally in the stream. And for shoutouts, Raul, I know him from my locals, as we already discussed a little bit. And also a shout out to my little brother, he's also watching us. And a shout out to everybody who's currently watching.
Awesome. Shout out to everybody there. Shout out Raul. Shout out to your little brother. That's awesome. Everybody here's to support you. And yeah, no, I remember you came into my chat because I'm affiliate or I've known Raul for a little bit here now. Just cooking branded goo here. Did a couple videos with him, and he's just a really great brand of mine. And I remember you came into my chat the one day, and you were like, Do you know Raul?" I'm like, "Yeah," and no, that was really cool. That I'm really happy to have you on the channel. So, let's talk about this list, and then let's talk about your matchups. I'll just go like card by card, and then like kind of ask you questions if you're good with that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Great. So what I guess like what was your mindset like going in with branded in this format post Legacy of Destruction? Like how did you end up changing your deck to curate for this new format?
Well, first I played around 42, I believe, was my old list. And actually, a friend of mine and also a friend of Raul told me about High Spirits and the Saronir combo line. And I was like, oh, well, let's try it out, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah, no, High Spirits is wonderful right now, so we'll definitely get into that. Uh, I see that we're on three Shrouded Dragon. That's kind of just becoming the standard right now. How did that end up working out for you?
Oh, Shrouded is awesome, man. It's like upstart, dump, it's such a good card.
Yeah, no, I've been seeing a lot of people I think you kind of have to run, especially with the three high spirits, and I see you are maxing out on the Saronir too, to just like make sure you end up getting a lot of or you have the dragons in the hand. Like, how did it work out? Like that ratio of dragons, like with the high spirits, like were all your no issues with that?
Oh, it was awesome, man. I got ashed a few times, and I had the high spirits in my hand and like the Saronia, and I still could do some combos, It was really awesome.
Yeah, no, that's great. Because I don't know. So you never found like Saronir to kind of be bricky, like even in the tournament or in testing or anything like that. Three.
No, that was the fun thing. Like, I was talking with a friend of mine earlier, and he also asked me this question. And in not a single game, I bricked. It was really, really my day.
You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. We get into some more standard ratios of kind of like 3 Aluber, of course, the boy with 3 Fall in the Valbaz, pretty standard. But you also do run 3 Cartesia and 2 Quem. Um, ha, is that something that you've been on for a minute? Have you ever kind of like, how did the 3 and 2 kind of ratio work out for you?
Well, the fun thing about Cartesia is like yesterday or the day before the tournament, I was still working on the deck a little bit and testing out, and it was like a last minute that I put it in, you know?
That you put in the 3 Cartesia?
Yeah, yeah. I first played two, and I really always want to see that card, you know? So at the last minute, I put the third one in.
Yeah, no, that's great. And have you liked 2 Quem? Is that something you've always? It's something that people always know me for advocating for. Um, is that something that you've been liking? Did that work out for you? Was that ever kind of bricky?
Well, I'm running Quam now for a few weeks, and actually, it was because of you that I put one extra in because yeah, I always watch your videos, and it works. It worked out perfectly for me. It's such a good card.
Helps you play through nib, all that fun stuff. So yeah, no, I'm glad it worked out for you, brother. And thanks for the kind words too. So yeah, no, well and then I see you're running kit too. The pretty standard with the high spirits. That card's broken with high spirits. Um, did you ever end up testing with branded sword? Is that something that like you were ever in and out with? Because I know Raul is a big proponent of branded sword, and it's definitely like something that you can combo pretty well with high spirits. But I know it can be kind of a brick, so I'm not sure if that's something you ended up considering before this event.
Yeah, I did indeed in the mirror match that Raul and I had a few weeks ago. I did see him use that, but I didn't actually test it out yet. But I'm planning to.
Nice. And then two high spirits, two Brandon and White. Uh how did you like those cards? Because I know like a lot some people just like only run the one Brandon in red, but I've been seeing a lot more people running two brand red recently, obviously. And Brandon White is something that you don't always see, but I feel like with running such a heavy dragon build that definitely works out, and you do run the Borreload Furious and the Masquerade, so maybe you could talk about those cards in combination with that.
Yeah. Also, like the Branded and Red at 2 was also not long ago. I included that, and the Branded and White was also a last minute change together with the Cartesia, because indeed of the Borreload Furious Dragon. And I was a little bit scared of like decks like flu and such, you know. So I was like, let's just run Borreload for once, and it also worked out. So pretty good card.
Yeah, no, that's great. Would you run it going forward?
The Borreload?
Oh, sorry, like Branded and White with Borreload and all
Oh,
that.
Branded the White.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I don't know. I sometimes I started it out, and still a little bit of like testing and such, but yeah, when I can use it, it's pretty strong, and I also used it in my finals, and yeah, I had a whole board, and that was awesome.
Nice. Um, I see for like the board breaker package, you have like two talents, three thrusts, and three droplet. Is that like? But what's interesting is you had the super poly in the side. So, how did you come to that like conclusion, like running the droplets, and then just like siding the super poly? Like, is that do you want if you want to talk about that, and then also the two talents?
Yeah, Droplet is, in my opinion, the best board breaker for Branded right now. And I was a little bit scared of like decks, Yubel and such, and mirror matches. So I was like, oh well, let's include the Super Poly package, you know. And it also worked out really well, especially against Tempai. I managed to to win the second last round. I managed to in the battle phase super poly away his two dragons, and then he scooped.
Oh my gosh. So that's like, what were you putting? Like, what did you put in Super Poly for? I guess then, like in your side deck, like what would you side it in against besides Tenpai?
The Yobel deck. I actually had a match 2 days before the OTS, and it also worked out against Yobel because he also had like a super poly set. We talked about it later, and he couldn't make that new fusion because he needed a Yubel body, and I was managed. It happened that I could super poly his Yubel monster away, and that was also a win for me. So it was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I've actually always been a pretty big proponent of Super Poly. I feel like it's been pretty bad recently, but there's some matchups, especially like now with like Melodious too. You know, in Voiceless Voice, even sometimes I think it's pretty decent against. So, uh, you know, I think it's coming back into into the meta. Like I'm gonna have a podcast going up tomorrow with Sam Zhang, and we talk about Super Poly, and I think it's gonna be a card that a lot of branded players are gonna want to look into going forward with their decks. Um, I guess we can just, I mean, your extra deck too. We have, I mean, well, for the rest of the main deck, we basically covered the rest of it. I mean, 3 fusion deployment, 1 retribution, 1 fusion duplication. Kind of need to run them. Um, and then, did you have any
They
other
should
thoughts
put
on
it.
the main deck?
They should name it branded deployment.
Yeah, no, honestly, that's how I'm feeling about like Furious Dragon sometimes too. Um, so yeah, and then we have the 2 Albion, 1 Sanctifier, 1 Borreload Furious. You said that's pretty insane for you. Um, so it seems like you would run that going forward, and then 1 Quertus. Did you like Quertus? I feel like Quertus to me has been kind of weak lately.
Yeah, it's a card that goes out and in the list, and I only used it once, and that was in the final. It did get me the draw, so that I got the first place because he didn't have enough power to deal damage, and then time was called. So that was the only time I used Quarterus.
Nice. Um, s- did you have any other thoughts on the main deck though? I don't know if you heard my question before. Like, if there was anything else, like, is there any changes you'd make, or you think you're pretty happy with the list?
Yeah, I'm overall pretty happy with the list. Maybe the 2 talents, maybe just one, and maybe replace it with like Gold Shark or so. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the list actually.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, that very solid 50 card list. It's something that I've been actually kind of wanting to get to. Like I'm so stuck on the 60 card list, but when you're on a 50 card list, you just see your side deck cards so much more often. So, um feels like you have a lot more agency in those games 2 and 3 with a list like that, like yours. So, um did you like the Masquerade at all? I mean, I see you have the double Guignol too, so you can talk about that too if you want. But Masquerade, I feel like, is pretty nice now with like a new format.
Yeah, actually, Masquerade. I had a Snake Eyes matchup, and game one, I made the Masquerade, and it burned my opponent a lot. And also in the final round, the final match actually, it also in combination with the Quarterus, it gave me the draw. So it came up a few times, and Masquerade's always a card for me that goes like in the extra or in the side, but I never did cut it completely because it can't come up.
Sorry, yeah, no, that totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. Um, and then yeah, no, that's about it for the extra deck. And then three side deck, or and then your side deck. If you want to talk about your side deck at all, like how did you go about building that?
Yeah, at my locals, we have a lot like stun decks and such. So I was putting in the Harpies Feather Duster and the Lightning Storms. The evening matches were mostly for like Kashtira and such decks. Um, I wanted to make a side deck uh, list to basically have for almost every matchup to have some kind of counter, you know?
Yeah, like kind of get that wide swath since it's still like I mean obviously like there's still like fire's still one of the best decks, but there's so many other decks you have to account for. So you have like a really nice general, just like swath of side deck card, like a really nice board breaker and package with evenlies and lightning storms and duster, and then the super polys. Like you're basically breaking any board with that kind of setup, and then you have the bestials too. Did you like the bestials at all? Um, Even with the new format with Linkribo being banned.
Um, it came up a little bit, but not so much as I hoped it would come up. But it was all right, I guess. I guess.
What were your matchups?
I actually have it in front of me. My first round was against Plunder Adventurous Synchro deck,
Uh,
and I won that one 2-0. Then round two, I had Runic Stun, and I won that round 2-0 again.
how did that game
Round
go?
three,
Basically, do you remember how that game went?
um the Runic Stun one.
Yeah, because I'm just kind of curious how you ended up 2-0ing them because usually sometimes that's a difficult matchup.
Yeah, he had like a small goatee, I believe the fish synchro archetype in it as well, and then some stun cards and runic cards. And
Oh,
he
that's
let me
cool.
go first, and I gave him the puppet, and he couldn't do much. And I also had like Guardian Chimera upcoming, you know, so he scooped that round. And the second round, I put in all the lightning storms and the feather dusters, and that was enough actually.
Nice, you'll love to hear it. And then what did you play? I guess for your fourth and fifth round.
Round three was against Sky Strikers. I won that round 2-1. Round four was against Tempai, and I won that round 2-1 as well.
Did you find
And the
the?
final,
Oh, sorry. If you wanted to say with the final.
oh, and the finals was against Snake Eye.
How did you find that Sky Striker matchup with three engage?
Yeah, I didn't really prepare for Sky Strikers because it's been a while, and um, one game it was a little bit grindy. It was going back and forth, but it was all right.
Um, yeah, no, I'm finding that matchup to kind of be a little difficult with three engage, but that just might have been my experience the other night at locals, being unlucky and then also having the ruling mishap. So who knows? But they do have like very good in engine outs for a lot of the things in our deck. So it's something to be considerate of, especially as they get new support going forward. And how did you find that your finals with Snake Eye? Was he on like the hand rip version?
Now the Snake Eye player actually also had a Sky Striker package in it, actually, and it was really interesting match, I would say. And um, yeah, game one took like 35 minutes. It was a really long game,
Wow.
and he won that round. Yeah, and round two we he let me go first, and I made the whole board with Masquerade, and he activated too much effects. He eventually stealed my Masquerade, and he tried to use it on me, but I didn't use I believe one monster effect, and my defense was too big.
That's awesome. Um, yeah, no, do you and then sorry, what did you say your round 4 was? Just to because we covered your round 3 and round 5 right there.
Oh, that was against Tempai.
Oh yeah. So do you find that like were these Tenpai duelists like were they siding in like any like goo for your deck? Like I've talked to Raul about how like maybe some players are gonna start siding in like specific branded hate because I feel like we have overall really good matchup against them, but I've seen people on Kawaki Miru Drago. There's always like, the theory of cross out with some of our cards or something, or like a Ghost Reaper or something. I'm not sure. But did you find those matchups pretty easy?
Um, the Tempai match was one of the hardest ones because round one I won the die roll and he hand trapped me, I believe 3 or 4 times, but I still managed to play. Um, Eventually I won that round because of the puppet.
Fair.
Game two he had the D barrier, so that was quickly over. And the game three was going back and forth a little bit, but eventually, what I talked earlier about, I super polyed him in the battle phase, and that was enough, and then he scooped.
Yeah, Super Poly is so good against that deck. That's why I've been like advocating for that card this format. Like if you want an easy way to beat Tenpai, it's Super Poly. They can't get around that card. Um,
Yeah, super poly is amazing, and also against Yubel, it can also be pretty good if you
yep.
time it correctly.
No, for sure, for sure. Yeah. Were there any last thoughts you had on your profile? I appreciate you coming on the channel. I really do like your list. I actually want to test it. It's so tight and consistent. Like it's really it this is a very solid list. So I definitely want to feature you and at least have this quick little deck profile.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, I'm a little bit in a testing, like a testing era, I would say, because I have 2 more big tournaments coming up, and yeah, I want to really see where the deck goes. Maybe try the sword out or change like the foolish burial. But yeah, I'm gonna go experimenting.
Very nice, very nice. Will you be playing in Nats this year for your Nats?
No, Raul also asked me earlier, but sadly I have work and I cannot replace that, so that's a little bit unfortunate.
It's
But I wish
unfortunate.
him the best.
Yeah, no, for sure. We'll try and make you proud. And you got this OTS championship win here, so very nice, very nice. And with that being said,